You're listening to the Fantasy Wildcard Podcast.
Yes, hello and welcome to the Fantasy Wildcard Dynasty show. Ali and Mags are back with you this week. The best two. You thought you had the best two last week, but let me tell you, the best two, we saved it for this show where we are going to jump back into the second part of our rookie mock draft, and we're going to go through rounds 3 and 4, which is, on the face of it, not as interesting, but this is the rounds where I'm getting the most questions off people. Who do I go for here? And there's certainly just some unbelievable values that I've found dropping to rounds 3 and 4. And yeah, we're going to discuss those players tonight. So Mags, how you doing, my friend?
Yeah, good, mate. Missed you last week for rounds 1 and 2. But, you know, we listened to the fans who said, get that guy Kev out of here. We want Ali back. So we listened to them, and Kev, you're out, and the best two are in. But in all seriousness, miss you, Kev. See you next week, hopefully. How are you, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, thank you. Been looking forward to coming back. It feels like I missed one show, and it feels like I missed 3 or 4 weeks. But
yeah,
enjoyed you boys talking about the prospects. I won't grill you too much for not taking my boy Lad in round 1, but I might be able to get my own back tonight when we talk about some of Kev's guys that he likes in rounds 3 and 4, and maybe we'll slate them. We'll have to find out. But yeah, without further ado, we might as well jump into the draft, and we've just put up the draft board here. So we're starting at pick 301. Mag, should we go to you as I'm the host? You can have the first pick, mate. So we're talking super flex draft. I might as well run through the round 2 so we can lead into round 3. I'll run through the picks from round 2. So 201, Michael Penix. 202, Lad McConkey. 203, Trey Benson. Then we had Keon Coleman, Troy Franklin, Xavier Legette, Marshawn Lloyd, Ricky Pearsall, A.D. Mitchell, Blake Corum, Ben Sinnott, great pick. And then Roman Wilson rounded off round 2 at the 212. So coming back to you, Mags, for the 301. Yeah, take it away. Who would be in consideration for your pick here, and who is the guy that you're gonna pick?
Yeah, a couple of guys here in consideration. You can see ADP wise, we have people like Jaylen Polk who are sitting right up at the top, along with a guy I really like in Jaylen Wright, and also Malachi Corey. All guys I like. I'm actually going to go down the list a little bit in terms of ADP. I'm going to take the guy that I see having a real good shot at replacing what is right now a really valuable dynasty asset in T. Higgins. I'm actually going to go and take Jermaine Burton, who is over at Cincinnati. Maybe slightly against consensus here. Jaylen Polk, I think, is the player that most people would end up taking here. At least his ADP seems to suggest it. But for me, I think Polk wasn't a guy I loved coming out. I thought he was very, very good with contested catches, but had a lot of work to do in a lot of other areas. I actually like Burton a little bit more than Polk. So I'll just go with the guy that I liked a little bit more pre-draft, and a guy I think's got a better landing spot. So give me Jermaine Burton at 3-1.
Yep, I completely agree with the pick. I think Polk is a guy that I like in the mid-third round pick, so we might see him come off the board in the next sort of 4 or 5 picks. But
snipe you now.
I'm certainly not going to reach for him in round 2. I liked your argument for taking Roman Wilson at the back end of round 2 over a guy like Polk. And it's simply because I'm a big Javon Baker guy, and I think that he has the ability to become that wide receiver 1 at much cheaper cost than Jaylen Polk is. So love the pick of Burton. I think, as you mentioned, he's going to be wide receiver 3 there. Projected, obviously, Tyler Boyd has left Cincinnati, so there's a vacancy for him in 3 wide receiver sets to get on the field straight away. We know how extremely talented he is, Alabama, and he didn't quite manage to put it all together, but you know, talent-wise, he's up there, top 5, top 6 wide receivers in this class. Absolutely easy. He got really decent draft capital. Was it round 3 to the Bengals? They believe in him. I think they're thinking a year ahead. The fact that T. Higgins, I think most people think that he will be leaving town. This will be his final year in Cincinnati. They're not able to pay all of those guys there. So I think it's a great move by them, and to be able to get a guy where if he's coming in and he's the second wide receiver to Joe Burrow, then yeah, that's going to be a guy that you're going to be taking now, that his value is certainly going to rise. If he can stay out of trouble and produce a modest amount in year one, then his value is going to shoot up heading into year two. So really,
I had an interesting chat with our, of course, member of the Wildcard family, Phil, over at Posh Plays FF on X. If you want to give him a follow, who's a member of the Wildcard Devy team, big Alabama fan. He sort of spoke out a little bit about Jermaine Burton and these potential issues that he's having, and he sort of brought out a really excellent point, which was Nick Saban bans people like that, and there wasn't even a sniff of Burton being banned. So maybe we're blowing things out of proportion. If Nick Saban didn't think it was a problem, and he's a guy that is, finger on the trigger to ban people and put people on the bench, why didn't it happen with Burton?
So he's a great point. He was there, he lasted, and perhaps we are just blown out of proportion. And I mean, if talent-wise he can put it together, he's got a fantastic quarterback that's going to throw him the ball. This could be the steal of the whole entire draft, to be honest. If you're getting him in round 3, he could be potentially not perhaps Puka Nacua, but you're talking a top 20, top 24 dynasty wide receiver in a year's time. If T. Higgins leaves town, he has a good year one, he's going to be ranked up there because people are going to put 2 and 2 together. So, yeah, absolutely love the pick. And we'll move to 3-2, where I'm on the clock. And you listed off a few of the players there, and Polk would be in consideration. I really like Jaylen Wright. I think he's someone that I'm taking a lot of in round 3. I just think people see the depth chart and the Miami. It's Devon A-Chain, get the tables, Raheem Mostert. But I mean, Raheem Mostert's in his 30s now. He was able to produce last year, but then his body started to break down a bit. So Devon A-Chain is not the big back that's going to, is he going to last the season? There needs to be multiple wide running backs there. So Jaylen Wright is definitely in consideration for my pick. I think the pick probably is going to be Malachi Corley is going to be the pick here. I've seen him go sort of anywhere from the mid-second to around about this pick. I think I love the landing spot for the New York Jets. They've obviously got a fairly loaded wide receiver core for this year, but then thinking ahead, he's got the good draft capital. Liked him as a prospect. Just think he's solid, and I think there's plenty of upside there for Corley, where if he does hit, and again, you're getting someone the way I see the ceiling probably higher for Corley than it is for likes of Roman Wilson, Ricky Pearsall, Xavier Legette, perhaps. So I think it's worth taking the shot on someone like that in round 3. I think round 3 for me, round 1 and 2 is more get your prospect that can't miss, so you don't bust on your pick. Then from rounds 3 onwards, I think it's go shoot for upside. And I think if he can find that rapport with Aaron Rodgers, that's exciting. We saw the slow-mo video of Corley taking the hand off the reception the other day. But yeah, I think the New York Jets really like him. I think he's going to be featured quite heavily this year from year 1. So I think getting him at this point in the draft is good value, because I've seen him go sort of mid round 2 is normally where I see him come off the board. So yeah, like the value at 3-2.
That like this is the time of year where like slow motion cameras are worth their weight in gold right now, because the amount of videos of like a guy running routes against cones in slow-mo, and people are like, see, you should have taken him in the second. It's like, come on, guys, what are we doing here? Like, yeah, it's still silly season even after the draft. Yeah, I really like the pick with Corley there. I was sort of thinking about him with Burton. Is that me back on the clock then, Ali?
That's you back on the clock, mate. 3-3.
Okay. Let's have a look. So Polk is still there, who again, I'm on the same side as you, Ali. I think you can wait and get a Javon Baker, although if we look now, they're sort of like almost right next to each other in terms of the ADP. I'm gonna go ahead and take a guy I liked more though, again, before the draft. I'm gonna take Jaylen Wright here, because if we think about it right now, people are still saying Raheem Mostert has got dynasty value. That is just going to be passed right on to Jaylen Wright. He's a home run hitter, much like the rest of this Miami Dolphins offense. They're not going to pound the ball with the same back over and over and over again. We've seen that. So I think Jaylen Wright's going to come in. Might not do much this year, but in the third round, that's what taxi spots are for. Stick him right in there. Next year, we'll see him and Devon Echan hit the ground running. So just need to find a way to get the Bubba Ray in, because Bubba Raheem Mostert was so good. There's no like Bubba Jaylen, right? It doesn't quite work. So we need someone. Maybe he could be Spike Dudley, right? There was the third one, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Jaylen Wright can be Spike Dudley. Well, I'll have a think about how to work the word Spike into Jaylen Wright.
Yeah, I love the pick. He was definitely in consideration with my last pick. I just think, as you mentioned, I don't think the production's necessarily going to be there this year without an injury, but he's a young running back, 21 years old. He's a home run hitter. He was my running back 3 pre-draft. Really liked him. Was slightly disappointed at sort of didn't quite get the draft capital I wanted, and the landing spot on the face of it was tough because I thought he had the chance to be a lead back straight away. But I mean, you can't not get excited about landing on the Miami Dolphins. You have to be super, super speedy to go there. They love to get the running backs open and into space, which is exciting for all these guys. He can catch the ball. He can do it all. So, yeah, really like the investment there. If Raheem Mostert was to go down, if they just phase him out because Jaylen Wright is just absolutely smashing it, then his value's gonna fly up, and he could be a running back 1, fringe running back 1 in Dynasty. As early as the back end of the season. So, yeah, love the pick.
Thank you very much.
So that puts me back on the clock at 3-4. Interestingly enough, we've still got Jalen Polk. We've then got his ex-teammate, Jalen McMillan, which is a guy that I really like taking towards the middle or the end of round 3. Hopefully I get the chance to pick him in a little while. But if you just scroll a little bit down, Mags, just want to see who the next guys ADP are. Quite a lot of running backs, interesting enough. But yeah, I think for me, it is the time now where Jalen Polk's going to come off the board. I think I've seen him go, a lot of the time mid second towards the back of the second round. I like Polk. I don't necessarily think that he's going to be the Patriots wide receiver 1 long term, but I think he's obviously got the opportunity this year. That wide receiver core is absolutely wide open. There's just a list of a lot of names there, but there's going to be someone emerge as the wide receiver 1. And Drake May's a very good quarterback prospect, so he's going to come in. He's going to find his favorite targets. And I like when wide receivers come in with quarterbacks, because I think they have the ability to have that connection straight away. And if they both hit year 1 into year 2, build that relationship, then anything could happen. But don't necessarily see the high ceiling with Polk, but with the wide open depth chart there, I think he has the chance to be the wide receiver 1. So at almost a mid third, I think then I'll definitely take the chance on Polk here.
Yeah, I think you kind of had to let the slide stop there on Polk, right? He's a guy I actually like McMillan a little bit more on that Washington team. I think McMillan had a few more injuries, though. Yeah. I would dare say that if McMillan was fit the full year, we would have seen their draft capitals flipped over. But of course, you're still happy that you got McMillan, obviously on your Bucks. So that puts me right back on the clock, I think, Ali, does it? So
it does, yeah. Back on the clock. 3-5.
See, this is where the waters start to get a little bit muddier, which is great, because sometimes in a draft this starts to happen, in the back end of the second round, never mind, midway through the third. Couple of guys, Jachavion Sanders, I think people are sleeping on a little bit here. Like, I know he was almost consensus the tight end 2 before the draft, and then he fell a little bit further, but he actually fell to a really nice landing spot in Carolina, where they're starting to surround people with weapons. So He could be a nice pick. Javon Baker as well. I like getting him a little bit later than this normally if I can. So I am torn. Obviously, there is Kimani Vidal, who people are pulling the trigger on earlier and earlier and earlier as we go on. But I'm going to go ahead actually and take Jaylen McMillan, Polk's teammate, mainly because I can see they're over at Tampa Alley. You'll be able to speak to this a little bit better than me. They obviously have Chris Godwin, who they're moving back into the slot. They have re-signed Mike Evans, but Mike Evans is not going to be around forever. McMillan has a chance to come in here, establish himself, and then try to work towards being that wide receiver 2 in that offense and trying to establish himself. I'm not really sure what Chris Godwin's contract situation is, though. Was he re-signed recently? Is he long-term at the Bucs?
So he's entering the final year of his official contract. They pushed some dead money into 2025, so there will be there'll be quite a bit of a cap hit if he was to be cut at the end of next year. But yeah, I think I tweeted about it today. I think he's a fantastic player to stash if you don't need production right away, because I think, like the prospect, he's going to come in. The offensive coach, Liam Cohen, has said that he wants to obviously move Chris Godwin back to the slot. He wants 3 wide receiver sets, 11 personnel is going to be his base. So I think that means Jaylen McMillan and Trey Palmer are going to see the field a lot more. And yeah, I just think if Chris Godwin was to leave, which a lot of Bucs people think will be the case, this will be his final year. They're paying him and Mike Evans $20+ million each. If they can, they only want to be paying one of them. And then Mike Evans himself is age 31 season. So ultimately, how long can he go on with? He'll go on for, probably another 2 years. But this is a great opportunity for Jaylen McMillan, in my opinion, to be the wide receiver 3 this year and take over the wide receiver 2 role, come 2025. So at this point of the draft, that seems pretty good value to me.
Agreed.
Yeah. We'll move on to so we're officially middle of the third round, 306. I think this is the point where I pull the trigger. It's between 2, and you named them both there. It's Jatavian Sanders and Vidal, and Matt FF Dynasty, Matt Thornton, the legend, is he keeps telling me all offseason I need to get him higher and higher in my rankings. He really believes in this guy. And I mean, this is a guy that said I needed Puka Nacua higher in my rankings last offseason. So this is a smart guy. I should listen to him more. And I think I'll go for Vidal here at this pick. The 3-6. You can often see him go later than this, sort of towards the back of round 3. But I just think if I'm on the clock here, I don't want to see anybody the next few picks take him. I want to take the chance on Vidal, because this is a guy that Matt forced me to watch because I wasn't that interested to start off with. But when I did really dig into him. I really liked what I saw. And I just think the opportunity now that he's got with the LA Chargers, obviously behind Gus Edwards, we presume, but we're not talking about, elite talent there with Edwards. I think that the opportunity is there for Vidal to really carve out a role. And if you're getting someone that could potentially be the 1B of an offense, a high-powered offense that wants to run the ball, we know this team is going to run the ball and absolutely pound the rock. And Justin Herbert's going to be efficient as ever as quarterback. Then I want every piece of this, and I just think if you can get a piece at the middle of the third, back of the third, that seems screaming value to me. So I don't want to let him slide anymore. So Vidal is my pick.
The only issue I see with Vidal is I sort of used the offseason and the transfer across to the LA Chargers to sell my quite substantial amount of J.K. Dobbins shares. So it's almost guaranteed that he's going to be the guy now, and he's going to explode after I've just sold him on the cheap. So that's the main issue with Vidal. Is like I can just see that happening, and me just holding on to those Dobbins shares until the exact wrong moment. So that's I still have plenty to go around though. So we might be okay. So I love the pick of Vidal though. Like he's he's a running back with a chance. So take him in the third round. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move away from the ADP here a little bit, Ali.
Oh, I love it.
think we have to scroll down quite a bit. I'm actually going to pull the trigger here on a quarterback in Spencer Rattler at 3-7. The reason is Derek Carr's ass. Like, Derek Carr sucks. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see Spencer Rattler suit up and take the field towards the back end of the season. This isn't a quarterback that I believe in hugely, but he has a lot of physical skills. He has a lot of talent in there. It's about harnessing it. Maybe going to an NFL program will help him, take that next step professionally and trying to iron out some of the big flaws that he has in his game. Plus, this is almost a pick alley where I'm thinking, take him now for a third. Second, he becomes a starting quarterback, flip him for a second, and re-roll next year. This is kind of what I'm thinking of Rattler more than long term. He's definitely a guy.
100%. It's about playing the stock market. You're taking an asset that is potentially going to be on the rise and on the rise big time. If they move on from Derek Carr because he's rubbish, the Saints suck. I hate the Saints, but if he gets given a chance, then we know what talent he has from his recruitment days, and he's going to have a larvae's weapons. People are going to really fly him up their rankings if he becomes their starting quarterback at any time. So I love it taking him at this point, being able to flip him for potentially a late second round pick. Then that's exactly how I play Dynasty as well.
Love it.
So you love that pick, and Kev is going to absolutely love this pick because I know this is a guy that Kev absolutely loves, probably because he's old like Kev. But this is the running back drafted to the Buffalo Bills. It is the guy there, Ray Davis, same age as James Cook, 24 years old, but drafted in the 4th round. I like the landing spot. You saw Buffalo from when they appointed their new offensive coordinator. They really went to a run-happy scheme or run-heavy scheme. It was certainly happy for them in the end because they were finally winning plenty of games towards down the stretch last season. So I can't see them doing any different this year than running the ball again plenty. He's going to benefit from that because James Cook, he done really well, but he done well on the volume that he had. But I've never really believed that much in James Cook. I didn't really like him as a prospect, but he proved me wrong slightly last year. Done well, but I can easily see him going down to an injury if they gave him such a big workload. So I think it's smart for them to draft Ray Davis, someone that I think is an absolute complete running back. It was basically just like the age really that was putting me off him. Yeah. I think he can do absolutely everything. Look, he's fine as a prospect, and he's landed in a really good spot for me. So to take him here, like I say, I think he's going to get workload from day one. And then if James Cook was to go down, I think Davis has the ability to be that every down back for the Bills. So this is the point where I'm happy to pull the trigger on Kev's guy, Ray Davis.
Do you know, I was completely convinced that Ray Davis was like a namesake with some kind of soul singer, but apparently he's not. But I just think he's got like the most like old school like soul singer name of all time, like Ray Davis. But apparently not. I think he just has a combination of a couple of different ones. But hopefully Ray Davis will be singing some sweet songs over at Buffalo. Yeah, he can certainly take some time away from James Cook, and maybe this is the year that the Bills finally stop letting Josh Allen put on his cape and Superman all those touchdowns. But I think Josh Allen might have something to say about that. We'll have to see if they protect their quarterback.
I mean, all the touchdowns can't go to Dalton Kincaid, so
that's true. He has to leave some, but he's coming on. Don't forget about Dalton Kincaid.
The tight end one this year.
Absolutely, he is. Don't let that Kelsey jersey fool you. Written underneath that is that's anyone a little behind the scenes. Anyone wondering where the whiteboard that usually sits behind me is? He's wearing a Travis Kelsey jersey right now, so that's a little behind the scenes for everybody listening. So that's me back on the board. This is where I like to take Javon Baker. This is nice and easy for me. Guy coming in, he's got just as much chance as Jaylen Polk to make an impact. This is basically a blank slate at receiver over at New England. Although there was who do they have from the Vikings? I seen they got, is it Osborne?
KJ Osborne? Yeah.
I think he's like a sneaky buy. He's like an experienced guy who the Vikings went to a lot last year whenever there were games on the line or they needed crucial sort of third down. So he could be a sneaky one, but for now, I'm happy to take Baker here at the back end of the third. Yeah, it's just a guy again, just like the running backs, guy with a chance. I'll take it in the third.
Exactly. You're getting, I mean, in most drafts, you're getting that sort of whole round difference between the two. And really, they're going to come into rookie drafts, into camp. And like you say, it's a blank slate. So whoever impresses the most will be the guy that they feature the most. So really like Baker as a prospect. Really exciting player to watch. So really, I like the Landers spot just because it is such an open wide receiver room. I didn't want to see him stacked behind some really good wide receivers. At least I think he's going to get a really decent chance. And like we said with Polk, if he can have that rapport with Drake May, from day one, Drake May is a fantastic quarterback prospect. So that is exciting to see that, these two players grow with him just to see where it goes. So love taking the shot here.
Thank you.
So, yeah, we're moving right towards the back of round 2. So 3-10. This is where Jatavian Sanders will come off the board.
Yeah.
Certainly seen him go, earlier than this, early round 3 in quite a lot of drafts that I've done. And yeah, this is the guy that, as you mentioned, he's gone to the Carolina Panthers. Probably the draft capital slipped slightly, but I think he's got the great opportunity where, again, the depth chart is open for him to be the tight end one if he can grasp it. We know just how athletic this guy is. Sanders, he's a bit of a freak at the tight end position. Dave Canales has really gave Bryce Young every opportunity to succeed and take that next step forward this year. So if he doesn't take that step forward, he can only blame himself, because I think Sanders is an absolute weapon. And if they can use him when they're mismatches, one-on-ones, he can really be productive. I can see Sanders having a 8, 9, 10 touchdown season, just because perhaps not from year one, but in his career, just because he's so freaky and love the mismatches that he can produce. And I just think at the back end of round 3, if he's your tight end 2 on your roster, if you've got perhaps like a Trey McBride as your tight end 1, I'm really happy taking like a Sanders as my tight end 2 in Dynasty, and just waiting to see what happens with him, because if he can start producing, from year 1, we've seen just what their dynasty value can do. If you do produce year 1, it really flies up. So yeah, love taking Sanders back end of round 3.
Do you want to hear my really spicy Carolina Panthers take?
Ooh, yes, I do.
Not this year, but in the 2025 season, Kirk Cousins will be throwing to Jatavian Sanders.
Oh, I love it.
That's my spicy take.
That is very spicy. You need to write that on your whiteboard if it's not on there already.
I'll get it on the board. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But a lot of things have to happen for that to happen. But yeah, I can see them going that way. Yeah, if all works like I love that Sanders pick. Yeah, a guy that can come in big, athletic. There's enough people around there that he shouldn't get double covered at any stage. So yeah, I really like that. Hopefully, he can carve himself out a role over at Carolina, who are starting to look pretty good. Like that team, all of a sudden, starting to look great. Although their fans never filled that stadium last year when they were losing, so I kind of hope they just continue to suck. They don't deserve a good team. That's their bad. So I'm on the clock. 3-11, starting to work our way through the drags here a little bit. I'm gonna go with your guy here, Ali. I'm gonna go with Bucky Irving, a guy. You know me. I started doing mock drafts of this back in October. Bucky Irving going in the first round back then. People taking him back end of the first. He's dropped all the way back to the back end of the third. I know you love some Rachaad White, but man, his yards per carry is atrocious still to this day. So I think if Bucky Irving can come in and get a little bit more on the ground, I don't think he's going to take much away from Rachaad White in the passing game, because White is very, very strong there. But Irving could carve out a bit more of a rushing role here. Could become fantasy relevant. Yeah, if you squint, you can see a path to success here, which is, at this stage, back end of third, that's all you can hope for, I think.
Yeah, this would 100% been my next pick. I was excited with the pick of Bucky Irving. I think for us to go quite heavy on offense this year in the draft was refreshing, because we've just go defense early on, and then we pick late players hoping that they sort of prosper, and it doesn't usually work out. So to go for Bucky Irving, I think is a great choice here. And listening to Todd Bowles in rookie camp this week, he highlighted Bucky Irving and just said he's got something that we haven't had, we missed last year, which was someone that can get in the open space and make players miss. So he was obviously alluding to Rashad White and his yards per carry and after contact is dismal. And I also think that the Bucks clearly upgraded their offensive line, first round pick, and then we went later on and picked a guard as well. So I think you'll see the running game for the Buccaneers in general will improve this year. I'm excited to see it happen, because it's been absolutely atrocious ever since probably our Super Bowl season was when we were last decent at running the ball. So you're talking 4 years ago now. So yeah, I think Bucky Evans has got every chance to take a decent workload away from Rashad White. And who knows, if we've seen him hold up in college, he's a smaller back, but he's surprising. The contact balance is pretty incredible for someone his size.
Yeah.
Who knows? He could definitely take considerable workload away from White. So yeah, back end of the third is a no-brainer to take him here.
Yep. Love it. Right, you got the last pick in the third.
Well, this is very exciting, but the names at the top of the list are not that exciting. These are the guys that I'm constantly seeing go round 4. So let me just see my ADP, who I'd be taking here. So, okay, this is a guy that usually goes in the 4th round, but I wanted to highlight him now, and that's the running back Tyrone Tracy for the New York Giants.
I actually can't believe you've done that to me, Ali. That was absolutely
I could just read your mind, man. You're thinking, right, yeah, get Tracy in the next few picks. But yeah, I just think these are the guy that, typically always falls to round 4, and I've been able to take an absolute ton of. Just absolutely love any receiving running back. This is a guy that used to be a wide receiver, so he can catch the ball for fun. Playing in PPR leagues, this is the sort of prospect that you want on your team. I see the depth chart. Obviously, Saquon Barkley has gone to the rivals, the Philadelphia Eagles. And, Devin Singletary, I actually think Devin Singletary is a good underrated running back, but he's not amazing. He's slightly older running back now. He's not going to be an every down running back. So they're going to need someone to be that third down back. And I think this offense could be with Malik Neighbors, could be sneaky, half decent, sort of improved from last year, should I say? I think, and I just think, Tyrone Tracy at this stage, you can usually scoop him up in round 4, all day long. That's the prospect that I want on my roster, just to put on the taxi squads, the bottom of your roster, and just wait to see if he starts catching passes from Daniel Jones. Then that is going to be pretty exciting. As someone that can certainly rise in value, but at round 4 prices or back end of round 3, that seems pretty good value to me.
Yeah, he was a guy I was going to go with. Just someone again that can come in, can be relevant right away this season. Like Singletary is not too much of competition, so yeah, he can come in and carve himself out a role right away. So I love that pick at the back end of the third. Can't quite pick him now at the 4th. I'll go with a guy that, I've been trying to target a little bit, but people keep nipping in there in front of me, which is slightly annoying. So I'm going to take him now. I'm going to take Jordan Travis. The reason for that is Jordan Travis suffered one of the most horrendous injuries that you'll ever see in a football field, which has driven his stock way down. Before that, Jordan Travis was right up there as the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. This guy is an absolutely amazing talent. He's got a lot of intangibles that should work well in the NFL. He's a couple of things that he definitely needs to round out in his game for sure, but I could say fairly safely that if he managed to complete the full season, then we would have seen Florida State actually manage to get a place in those playoffs. I think part of the reason it didn't is because Jordan Travis was injured, and the committee or the council or who the Sith or whoever decide who goes through to these college football playoffs didn't put them through. And he's now backing up Aaron Rodgers, who's not going to be around forever. There's an outside chance that he gets, a go here, that they maybe roll the dice with Jordan Travis once Aaron Rodgers decides to retire. I don't know. I think he's a good player, and I think we'll see him get a shot in the NFL at some stage.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love the pick. This is, round 4, I always say shoot for upside. So
yeah,
the chances are if you take a middling wide receiver, I always say the chances are within 1 to 2 years, you're going to drop him anyway. So what's the point? Yeah. So always shoot for running backs or a quarterback that has a chance. And I mean, what a better way to learn his trade than sit behind Aaron Rodgers for a year, perhaps 2 years. We don't know what sort of mind frame Aaron Rodgers has got. He loves the attention, but yeah, he's announced to play. Is it Monday night? He's scheduled to play again, which is the game that he injured his Achilles on this year. Hopefully history doesn't repeat itself. But I think it's a great pick. I mean, shoot for the upside. If there's even a sniff of Jordan Travis being sort of the guy or a chance to be the guy with perhaps Aaron Rodgers retiring or an injury, I mean, his value is just going to shoot up because it's very low right now. I've seen him. A lot of people have been taking him with the very last pick in drafts, which I think is a very, very sneaky good pick. So yeah, I think it's a great pick for me.
Thanks. Yeah, I think he got a shot in the 4th. Why not, right?
Yeah, and I just like shouting out guys that we want to root for in the forefront. Just pick your guys that you want to root for, and if it pays off, I mean, how satisfying is that? If he was to be given a shot, and you've picked him in the 4th round, how smart do you look?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going to go back to the running back and I'm going to go for Isaac Guerendo, the combine darling, drafted to the 49ers. And I just think it's because of that fact that he goes to a team with, a high-powered offense. He was a prospect that was already on the rise, gets drafted to a team that obviously has Christian McCaffrey, and he's been, done remarkably well to stay healthy from where he was in Carolina. With, his body was breaking down the last couple of years that he was there. The move to the 49ers, he's done so well keeping himself fresh, almost injury-free. But he's going to be 28 next month, and, he can't go on being this amazing Superman forever. So I just think Isaac Guerendo, with his blazing speed, someone that, excited people and people was on a lot of people's radars from the combine, but we knew him before the combine as someone that could be sneaky as a sleeper, and to get someone with upside. If anything was to happen to Christian McCaffrey, there's a whole name of running backs that could back up McCaffrey at the minute, but Guerendo, if there was a chance that he was to take decent, meaningful snaps, then I'm all for it. This is shooting for the upside in round 4, because these are guys that you could easily just drop anywhere in a year's time. So I'm going to shoot for the moon with Guerendo. And I'm excited about taking Guerendo. I've taken him in plenty of places. If he falls to any spot in round 4, this is where I'm comfortable taking him.
I've got a couple of Elijah Mitchell shares, and I can't quite bring myself to drop him, and I don't know why, because I've always seen potential there. But do you think it's time to just cut ties with Elijah Mitchell if you need roster space?
It's difficult. I always like to have a core of about 6 or 7 wide receivers that I'm comfortable starting, and then I've just changed to I'm just trying to fill all my rosters with backup running backs, just because they're one move away from getting serious, production and value. So Mitchell's someone that I'm trying to hold on to at the minute because he's, unofficially the backup right now. But if things start shaking out where he's falling down the depth chart, he's definitely someone I'll start to drop.
Yeah. Okay, I'm back on the clock here.
This is
Now we're getting
4-3.
Now we're getting towards the dregs, right, Ali? This is usually when I don't know if people can see the tab. This is usually in the 4th round where I just do this. I hit running back and I pretty much ignore everything else. There's probably some better value at wide receiver, but the chances on a 4th round wide receiver hitting here are very, very low. So I've got a couple of options here. I'm gonna go ahead and take probably the most talented guy here. Well, it's debatable, but I'm going to go I'll take Will Shipley here. Even though he is behind Saquon Barkley. Saquon not exactly known for staying healthy the last couple of years. I think if Philadelphia are smart, they won't just hammer Saquon over and over and over again. We might see Will Shipley a little bit more than people are expecting. And exactly, Saquon's no spring chicken either. So Shipley could be a guy that comes in and we see him take more and more snaps going forward. Probably not, but 4th round, right?
Exactly. This is a guy that was a Debbie Darling 12 months ago, but he's not quite managed to put it together. Sort of now, backing up Saquon Barkley, which is probably not a place that he imagined he would be in a couple of years ago. But I mean, high-powered offense. Saquon Barkley only has to have an injury. I'm pretty sad for my Kenny Gainwell shares because I was a big Kenny Gainwell believer a few years ago, but that ship has officially sailed now. And I like Will Shipley. I like his pass catching profile. Excited to see how they use him because there's certainly a lot of touch on opportunities to go around in that team. So if you can grab any piece of them offenses this late on in drafts, it's certainly something that I look to do. So I'm up at the 404, and it's between. Usually, I mean, this is where I just, as you mentioned, have the runner back tab open and just draft. But there's probably one wide receiver, if not two. I like the likes of Luke McCaffrey, I like the landing spot. Malik Washington is someone that I was absolutely banging the drum for pre-draft, but he just kept falling. Yeah. But it's pretty exciting landing spot considering. But I think this is the point where this is probably the most disgusting pick that I'm going to make. One that I don't like, but perhaps it could pay off in a year or two time. It's Braylon Allen, and it's one of them picks where, it's like the reaction to his landing spot is just, this is disgusting. Like ROP Braylon Allen, but I'm just going to bank on the fact that he's 20 years old. The Jets clearly see something in him. Breece Hall has already had a major injury in his past. Breece Hall is top 2 dynasty running back asset right now, but again, this is a guy that you could drop anyway in a year's or two time, but there is a path if an injury does occur, or perhaps they're going to go more to they look at Aaron Rodgers, they look at his health. Are they going to just try and run the ball as much as they can? And will Braylon Allen get a bit of a workload from day one? We know how talented he is. This is a guy, again, another Debbie Darling from a couple of years ago that really produced when he was so young. We're talking 17, 18 years old. His body should not look like that at that age. He was able to run over defenders a lot older than him. But it's not a great situation for Braylon Allen, but I'm just going to take a guy that is clearly super talented at this late stage. So middle of the 4th, that's where I'm happy to take a shot on Allen. Doesn't feel good, but you just never know what can happen. So
I think if you own Breece Hall, I'm taking Braylon Allen in the 4th all day, just to have his backup and his handcuff. Apart from that, you're just relying on an injury, and then you probably just go ahead and you sell Allen immediately unless you're a super contending team. So you're right. Just take these backups right now, right, in the 4th, and you're not going to go and find any kind of real sneaky value here. So grab the backups. Allen's a clear, number 2 at least as a backup. So I agree with it. Go ahead and and take him. I'm going to go a little bit down the line here. I'm actually going to take a guy who I didn't know much about, and I don't even know how to pronounce his surname. I'm going to go with Lob.
Yeah,
Could be
I
Lob.
call him Lob.
So I don't know. The main reason for that is, as you know, Ali, over on the Dynasty Odyssey, I do a series of trying to rebuild the worst team ever, and I asked in the comments, like, we were on the clock in the fourth, at the end of the third, fourth round, like, who should we take? And this guy's name came up loads in the comments. It's like, oh, that's quite interesting. So he's obviously gathering some steam, and then when you look at that Raiders team, that is fairly unproven. Zamir White as the lead back there. Lob's got a bit of a chance here. Like, Zamir White isn't completely nailed on as a definite, must start for them. He's still got a bit to prove. Lob, I think, is a guy that can catch passes pretty well. So, hey, maybe he comes in and he's the pass catching back for them.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's a great landing spot. It's kind of one of them situations where we saw last offseason, we saw Tony Pollard become the RB1. We saw Alexander Mattison become the RB1. And a lot of people got extremely excited because they thought that they're just going to produce exactly what Dalvin Cook and Zeke Elliott would, back in their heyday. And it just, for whatever reason, that they cannot produce as their RB1. Zamir White was incredible in spurts last season. Someone that, won me a bit of money in DFS. And yeah, I think he's a talented running back, but we get to see him, officially get RB1 workload, and that roster, that running back room is completely wide open for someone to come in and be that third down back, or just take, workload away from Zamir White. So we expect that offense to not be great, but who knows, it might surprise. And again, the opportunity's there. And it's someone that if you're taking fourth round pick, I've even seen him go undrafted. You get him, he gets some workload on him, and you can flip him perhaps for, I don't know, a late second, third round pick or whatever next year, and just make a little bit of profit on your investment.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll move to the official middle of the fourth round. So again, this is, it's a case of sort of get your guy. If there's anybody with upside, then this is a guy where you take a chance, where you take a swing on guys like that. So again, it's probably not someone that I'm too excited with, but he's sitting there at the top of the ADP. Audric Estime, someone that was a big loser of the combine for his such a slow 40 time, but it's not really what his game is about. He's more of a smash 'em sort of running back that I think they're going to be quite excited to use him at the Broncos. I think the RB room there, obviously you've got Javonte Williams, but other than that, we're talking not wholesome names. We've got Jaleel McLaughlin, and Sean Payton has come out to say that this is an open running back battle, that everybody is on a level playing field. We're going to see who produces, and we've seen him take undrafted guys before, or guys with low draft capital, and make them into something. So Audric Estime, he sort of can be that first and second down running back. He projects to be first down, second down. Not incredibly exciting. I like more pass catchers, but I think he has the chance to be meaningful in that offense. So again, we're looking for people with opportunity at this stage of the draft, and I just think he has an opportunity to be someone that can produce in that offense. So again, he's someone that I probably won't look to hold on to. If he does produce, I'll try and flip him to someone that needs a running back, perhaps got an injury. So yeah, Estime, middle of the fourth, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, right there with you with that. And I'm back on the clock at 4-7. Couple of guys here. Actually, I'm going to go a little bit down the list. I'm going to go with Jacob Cowing. Reason being for that, everyone's talking about, Ricky Pearsall and how he might be able to get a chance if things happen with Ayuk or Debo. But we've heard so much chatter about Ayuk leaving and so much chatter about Debo leaving. What if they both leave? Right? What if both of them end up not at the San Francisco 49ers and they are in a hell of a lot of trouble in terms of cap space? So they definitely can't keep both. They might not be able to keep either. And if that is the case, there's definitely going to be a spot for Ricky Pearsall. Hey, Jacob Cowing, he's got a year to compete with a guy like Pearsall to try and win some more reps in that team. If he gets a chance on the field for the 49ers, I love it. It is a long shot, but it's the 49ers. Like, I don't think Shanahan is particularly attached to draft capital. We've seen that with Trey Lance and Brock Purdy. He's just going to play the best player available. So Cowing's got a shot to get on the field.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking upside picks here, and obviously Cowing. It's funny enough, it was a tweet that I put out jokingly about before the draft. I said this year's Puka Nacua is going to be Malik Washington, and actually most people came back, and the most common name that I saw was Jacob Cowing was going to be the guy that could be drafted late that will produce. So that sort of got me revisiting Jacob Cowing, and he actually did rise in my rankings a couple of spots just off the back of that, because he wasn't a guy that I was particularly looking at. But yeah, he's got a shot. They obviously, the 49ers can't afford to pay everybody. They're not going to. I think there's a lot of rumors that obviously Ayuk might leave, but Debo could also be the one that leaves. So I think one of the two is not going to be there towards the end of the season. And yeah, that opens up another spot for someone to come in and this really high-powered offense with Brock Purdy throwing the ball accurately down the field. Yeah, if you're going to take a swing on a wide receiver at this stage, it needs to be someone that has upside. And again, these are the guys that we don't need to keep hold of. Ultimately, these are guys that are ranked very low right now that have the ability to rise up and sell on for a profit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that probably brings me to a similar wide receiver in Devontae Walker or Tez Walker for the Ravens, and it's going to be for the exact same reason. Goes to a high-powered offense with MVP Lamar Jackson. Their wide receiver room is Zay Flowers. They've re-signed Rashad Bateman. Rashad Bateman has been an unbelievable disappointment in my opinion from his draft capital as a prospect. Looked to be the guy, hasn't been the guy for whatever reason. I think he's sort of struggled a bit with injuries and whatever. Mark Andrews has failed to stay healthy the last couple of years. He's sort of getting on now. I think he's 28, 29, sort of hitting that 30 age. So yeah, I just think there's a bunch of guys again for the Ravens. They all sort of produce in mini spurts, but Tez Walker's got a chance here. He was a prospect that I quite liked to come in and be the wide receiver 3 to start off with, and then who knows, he could potentially turn into that wide receiver 2 on the team. I like Zay Flowers as a prospect. I'd never say that Zay Flowers was a dominant wide receiver 1. I just think there's opportunity for Devontae Walker to make an impact in year 1, and Lamar Jackson's airing the ball out more and more now, sort of year 2 in the offense with the offensive coordinator. He's not the guy that just takes off all the time. He's actually passing the ball a lot more. He's an incredible passer. He's accurate. So I just think there's an opportunity there for Walker, a bit like Cowing, someone that you've taken at the back of round 4, has the ability to rise in their dynasty value quite considerably. So yeah, love the pick.
I got 3 words to describe Devontae Walker. I think I've nailed it. Well, sort of 3. Yeah, 3-ish. Best ball guy.
Yeah.
Right? He's the best ball guy of this class. Like the guy that's going to blow up some weeks and some weeks will get you 0.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah, so that puts me back on the clock. Do you know what, Ali? At this stage, towards the back end of the 4th, it's hard to know what to do. So just stick to a formula that you know works. I'm going to go with Eric All because he's a tight end from Iowa. And that's it. That's my only reason.
I mean, that's all you need to say. Tight end factory. They know what they're doing. So, I mean, this is a guy that a lot of people are actually talking about. And, the situation where he's landed is, couldn't be much better for him at the Bengals. So, there's clearly an opportunity for him to make his mark. He's an incredibly rounded tight end.
Yeah.
Perhaps not got the high ceiling, but the fact that who's thrown in the ball, Joe Burrow. Who knows? He could be a touchdown guy, and where we're taking him now. Yeah, they know what they're doing in Iowa for their tight end, so he's going to be a solid prospect.
I just thought it's Mike Gesicki's at the Bengals, right?
He is, yeah. A lot of people are excited about that.
Think of the Gritties, Ali. I haven't thought of this. Think of the Gritties with Jamar Chase.
Oh yes,
I can't wait. Maybe Gesicki can teach all how to gritty, right?
Oh yes, that would be fun to see. I'd have to say. So yeah, that leads me to I've spoke about one Baltimore rookie. Now we're going to go to another one in Rasheen Ali with decent, nice. Really, really decent name there. Again, back end of the fourth, I've seen him go undrafted, but I think he probably shouldn't be going undrafted. He's clearly going to a Ravens backfield that's, it's lost J.K. Dobbins, lost Gus Edwards, inherited the king, Derrick Henry, but he's in his 30s now. Probably got one decent season in him, if not two. He keeps his body incredibly well, looks after himself, and I don't think they're going to use him, like the battering ram he's been in Tennessee the last few years. But yeah, I just think there's an opportunity. Keaton Mitchell is coming off a big injury. There's an opportunity for someone like a Rasheen Ali to come in and, perhaps not 1A, 1B, to pick up any sort of workload where they're resting Derrick Henry. And then if, any injury happens, he could be the backup to Derrick Henry in a really high-powered offense. So this is, again, take a swing on upside. He was okay as a prospect, landed in such a great spot. So definitely worth taking the shot here.
Yeah, this could be like a Zamir White one as well, right? Where you draft him knowing that he's not going to come in and take too much of the workload immediately, but maybe he impresses enough to get a shot. So yeah, we know Henry's not long for it. So I think taking a guy like Ali is kind of worth it. And I'm in the same mindset here. Again, not really according to ADP here. We have to scroll down quite a bit to get to this guy. We scroll down quite a lot to get to this guy. Here he is, Jawar Jordan, who is at the Houston Texans. I mean, we spoke about Isaac Guerendo going right at the top of this round, Jordan at the back. Jordan was the better back in college. They were on the same team. Jordan was undoubtedly the guy there, got way more carries, way more productive, way better than Guerendo. That's why everyone was kind of shocked to see how good an athlete Guerendo was at the combine, because he didn't play as much as a Jawar Jordan did. And Jordan was a decent player, a guy I liked as a sleeper pick before the combine, before the draft. I still like him as a sleeper pick. He is the clear number 2 behind Joe Mixon, but running backs in new offenses, don't know what it's going to look like. I'll take a shot on a number 2 running back.
Yeah, exactly that. And I mean, you can't get much more of a higher powered offense right now. That's just added Stephon Diggs to the mix. CJ Stroud heading into year 2. Yeah, it's just going to go absolutely off. So yeah, you want to grab pieces of these high-powered offenses at these exceptionally cheap prices is exactly what you want to do, because if there's any sniff of him getting opportunity there, his draft value is just going to soar up, because he's low right now. He's been undrafted in most rookie drafts. I'm picking him up off waivers, and just someone that if you can hold him, stash him, and if he gets the opportunity, like Guerendo, like these players, then their value can shoot up. So these are the guys you want to target.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to round off the draft, this is not going to be a popular pick with you, Mags.
Don't you dare mention his name. I was hoping he was going to go undrafted, Ali. Like,
I'm just thinking about your guy in New York, Daniel.
I know exactly what. Yeah.
Well, you took a tight end in round 4. I mean, we wouldn't normally, but I want to mention Theo Johnson just because.
No, you don't.
This is a guy that absolutely smashed the draft. Was the most athletic tight end that we've seen for a long time, and yeah, I just think
don't forget Zach.
Exactly, Zach Kuntz. Who couldn't forget that name and have to be careful how you spell that on Twitter. But
yes, you do.
But Theo Johnson, I mean, there's talks of Darren Waller. Is he going to retire? Is he going to stay on for another year? I think the fact that he's even thinking about retiring at this stage tells you a lot, and I think he probably will hang it up. The opportunity is there. Perhaps Daniel Bellinger will turn into the elite tight end that you've always thought he could be, Mags. But I mean, this is typically not a position that I'd like to take a shot on in round 4, but I just think the opportunity is there. I think since last year, the community has switched slightly, and we're sort of more welcoming tight ends, and the values of tight ends can change a lot more frequently than they used to. So if Theo Johnson was, getting workload in that offense that seems to be wide open right now, I just think his value has the chance to perhaps not soar, but sort of be a top 20, top 15 tight end if he becomes the tight end one on that team. And obviously he's clearly athletic, was a pretty decent, exciting rookie, as a prospect. So just putting 2 and 2 together. And I mean, I had to pick him just because I knew you'd hate that, Max.
Yeah, Theo the Bench Johnson, of course, coming off the board there. Darren Waller is retiring, of course, because he's scared of Daniel Bellinger taking his spot next year. That is the real reason, Alec, for sure.
Definitely. But yeah, that concludes part 2 of the rookie mock, where you and Kev jumped into rounds 1 and 2, and then me and you finished off with rounds 3 and 4. So yeah, that ends tonight's show. So thank you for tuning in. Be sure to follow us and subscribe on X and YouTube at Fantasy Wildcard and Wildcard Dynasty, and join us for our show every single Wednesday of the off season. So thank you once again. Have a good one, and we'll see you again soon.
When you have the wild card, you have the power to change the game.